I find at this point in my career that mentoring is a fantastic activity. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it it really is true. You learn more from your students than you actually manage to get through their heads, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like they're happy to get what they're getting, and if you're doing it right, then you're getting a ton of information from them. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
show you things that you didn't even know were possible, and vice versa.
What's something that you've learned from somebody that you've mentored?
Well, so let's see. It's the best lesson I've gotten.
Or one you can
So
say
I recently
publicly.
had one of recently I had one of my students actually get hired onto our DevOps team on New World. So I was very pleased about that. Um,
Congratulations.
I, Thank you, and congratulations to him because he's fantastic. So he came from another part of Amazon, not related to game development at all. And I guess the thing that I'm learning that I learned most from him was just how different people's circumstances are when they're trying to break in, and how much disinformation there is out there. Like there's just like a lot of silly notions floating around about what you need to be and what you need to work on and how you need to
Hmm.
study. And there's a lot of misunderstanding of just how vast the development process is.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, we've talked about international localization. We've talked about
Yeah.
production. We've talked about government regulations and how they can impact your design. Um, we haven't covered at all what DevOps does. And just as a brief aside, DevOps is the art and science of making scalable architecture for software. And if that sounds dry, it is kind of, but at the same time, it's super exciting because the idea that you can write software that scales to millions of users painlessly, a lesson that had not been learned when WoW launched.
Yeah, I remember when
uh,
I remember when they did the Gates of Encourage event, right? And 1,000 people showed up to watch the gong get rung, and the servers that time hadn't been structured in a way that they could self shard, right, and spread people out across load. So you had all of the population of every WoW server collapse into this one little square, which had to run on a single processor, and it meant that everyone got 1 frame a minute or so. Right, it was literally that slow trying to handle all the people who just wanted to watch this cool little event play out.
and
And
it was the same problem with the Diablo launch.
yeah,
Everybody wants to hit that same login server at the same time. It's
yeah, and
so being at Amazon's a good place to be for that kind of thing because they figured out early on that they couldn't just have everybody in the world hitting one server,
mhm,
and AWS is absurd when it comes to how good it is at dealing with these complexities of scale.
yeah,
So DevOps people are the people in charge of that stuff, and so as I worked with my student, um, you know, we talked about the things he enjoyed doing, and really this is a huge thing, right? Like you shouldn't take a job because you think it's prestigious or lucrative or whatever. Like you should take a job because you're going to get skills out of it, right?
hmm
Like
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get skills, or it's something you're really passionate about. But you shouldn't just go in and sign up because you think, oh, this will be cool for a little while or whatever. You're never going to survive in that environment where people are literally training all the time. But also, it's good to acknowledge that you can be adjacent to things you love. Like I love illustration, I love painting. I'm nowhere near as good as probably you, Ariana, or most of the folks that work at Blizz. They're just amazing painters.
yeah.
But I still love to paint.
Glenn Rain's stuff
Um,
still always rings in my mind. Like that's guy was
right?
amazing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And so many of the guest artists we had come through there: Craig Mullins, Charles Vess. It's crazy. Brom.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
It's absolutely maddening how many like amazing artists pass through that space. And but anyway, like knowing that you can be productive and do things that you excel at and still be like kind of in that mix is important. And so a lot of the discussions with my student were about what his motivations were, what he was good at, what it would take to get to some of these other things, these ideas that he had coming in. Like he's like, oh, maybe I want to be a gameplay programmer, or maybe I want to write shaders. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, hang on, hold on, back up. What are you good at? You know, and then how can that be applied in the context of games? And how can we get you in front of the right people so that you can succeed? And that led us to DevOps and all the crazy things about scaling software and dealing with cloud-based technologies. And he's happy. So
That's the most important thing, right?
absolutely.